Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the United States Grand Prix qualifying broadcast. I am Kenny Charter, and this time around I'm happy to welcome Josh Nate in the booth. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, it's good to be here. Back for another session. It should be an interesting one today after such a variable sprint conditions, and it looks like we're in for some more light rain throughout the session, so timing could be critical to set a good time here today.
Indeed, we are indeed seeing variable weather conditions today with spots of rain that have come on and off throughout the whole afternoon. Quick reminder for those who have missed the sprint race. A very close win from Lime de la Cruz right in front of Lucas Wright. Two of the veterans in F1CC showing their racecraft in tricky conditions earlier this morning. So now we are into Q1, a minute since the timer has started counting down. Currently, the track is wet enough for the inters, so we are probably going to see a first flying lap from most cars on the intermediate tires. It is still unsure at this point if the track will be drying out throughout the session.
It looks interesting. We've got rain forecasted in the next 4 minutes, so it'll be a game of who can get out the right time, and we may see a lot of congestion actually when the optimal conditions do come up, as we often see in these sessions. So all to play for though, with that victory in the sprint. Liam de la Cruz is now 43 points away from Jorge Kivu with 6 races of 4 points remaining, and that includes 2 sprints. So he could be an outside chance for the Drivers' Championship as one final send-off before retirement here, if the results fall his way. But you would think that he would need misfortune or retirement of the two ahead. But he is chipping away at that lead of those two ahead.
As far as the championship standings go, as we have a bit of time ahead of us, a quick recap. So after the sprint from this morning, Quadro still leads the Drivers' World Championship by a small 17-point margin over Jack Duff, who has been leading most of the season. Lime de la Cruz has vaulted back from P5 to P3 in the championship, and is 43 points behind, closely followed by Jason Roy, Michael Zwart, and Eetu Väisänen, all three within 60 points. So, still with a pretty legitimate chance of contending come the end of the season. And as far as the Constructors' Championship goes, V-Carb still quite wide margin clear ahead of the rest of the competition, with an 87-point lead over Williams, 88-point lead ahead of Ferrari, which means both Williams and Ferrari are within a single point, with a quarter of the season left to be disputed. Behind them, a sizable gap with Red Bull and McLaren in 4th and 5th position. Mercedes has dropped the pace of the top 3 teams since now quite a few weeks ago.
Indeed, so we sit at this stage in the season with both V-Carb and Ferrari sitting on 5 wins apiece as a team, so it's truly neck and neck. Williams have 4, and then it's 2 with Red Bull. But this championship seems to be swinging from a 3-horse race almost to a 2 between Ferrari and Racing Bulls at the moment. Jack Teff really struggled in the sprint earlier today. It was a non-points outing for him and really worrying pace on the long run. So they'll be looking to see if they can start a little bit further up, especially in mixed conditions when the DRS is disabled. Track position is key. So that'll be critical for him today. He can't afford to lose any more points to Kivu at this point in the season. The gap has already opened up to 17 points after he led so much of this championship. So it's a critical weekend for him and a critical weekend at Williams. But encouragingly, Aaron Eigen, interestingly, had quite decent pace comparatively. So there may be something that they've unlocked in that car that they can bring across to the sister car.
Indeed, as if the drama that took place last week had kind of unleashed something for him. But Aaron Eigen, who has been struggling a bit more than his teammate for the majority of the season, has found some exceptional pace yesterday and this morning. Let's see if the trend will continue in his favor. And as we're seeing on our screen and on board from Jason Roy's car, front axle camera, one of the first flying laps of the session. Jason Roy, who still has a very legitimate chance of winning the championship. He's only 51 points behind. Yes, it is a lot, but we know that Abu Dhabi will yield double the amount of points. So any kind of drama or subpar performance from the championship leaders can leave the door wide open from anyone who is within 50 points at that time. Pretty decent Sector 1 and 2 so far.
A DNF in Abu Dhabi could literally make or break the championship, so it'll be a fascinating last round. With the momentum that Kota Kivu has at the moment, though, the question is, can anyone stay within 50 points of him? There's a long way still to go in the season, but he looks in imperious form in the second half of the year. An interesting opening lap in terms of pace from his teammate Jason Roy, though. He seems to have gotten a fairly clear run here, and it'll be interesting to see what the benchmark is.
And that's a 37.4 so far. A couple tenths ahead of Jack Teff. So that's a good first sign for Racing Bulls. It's, of course, only Q1 and still at least another flying lap to drive for everyone.
We've got a yellow flag here.
We don't really know where that is, except that it is in Sector 2. Checking the replay, we're seeing Quattro Kevo, I believe, and oh, a little bit of a spin from the rear end. Driver radio saying, well, Kevo saying that he just misjudged the corner exit. So nothing to be worried about, except that he's now wasted one of his 2 or 3 atoms in this session.
Indeed, and interestingly, the track has just moved to dry, so it looks like the race stewards are going to enable DRS, which means that everyone who's already completed a lap is at a serious disadvantage here. We already see Joshua Nathaniel setting a purple first sector with the help of DRS, so it could be interesting here if the rain comes
and first sector doesn't even have a DRS section, which means that it is going to get even faster in the second sector, where there is that long DRS zone.
We do have the front straight as a DRS zone, so there will be higher top speed at the start of the lap, but
yeah,
that is true.
Yeah.
So for those who have already set a lap, it'll be interesting, because if the rain does return here and the track goes back to being deemed wet, they won't be able to set a time with DRS, and you would think that the delta between the two, not only being dry, but also having the higher top speed, especially at the track here where there is an enormous back straight, it may actually be too high to overcome even for the front runners. So a couple of drivers here, such as especially looking at Jack Teff, who's 1.6 seconds off the pace of the front runners at the moment, he could be in real trouble here if the rain comes back before he can get out for another run.
we're seeing between 4 and 6 tenths of difference on Sector 1 alone, which is basically the about 500 meters, 400 meters that separate the start-finish line from the turn 1 braking zone. Plus, of course, the rest of the sector that, if it gets drier a little bit,
The track is
allows for more grip. And we have indeed another FIA race control call announcing the track conditions have returned to damp, which means the DRS is immediately disallowed.
So out of everyone that could be in the most trouble here, this actually could end quite badly for Kortekivu if he cannot set a competitive lap time on those worn tires from his spin. Depending on how much life he's taken out of those compounds, he could be in trouble here.
Of course, but not that many drivers were able to use DRS in their flying laps, so there's still, there's still room to get into the top 15 and Q2 even without DRS, I believe. Of course, that is if the track doesn't get worse now.
It looks like some of the cars at the back have hit traffic on that lap as well, because we see both Mercedes over 7 seconds off the pace, and they had issues in the sprint, but that is an enormous delta. It looks like they lost a huge amount of time in the second sector, so surely we'll see Michael Zwart and Van der Steen go for another attack and gain a huge amount of time. But again, the question will be, how much do the conditions change in the next 6 minutes?
We've seen a little bit of a jam at the end of their lap, but they also lost time in Sector 2, meaning that they had traffic probably all the way. They maybe aborted their attempts.
Yeah, and this track, especially out of all the tracks on the calendar, traffic is so critical. You have so many high-speed flowing corners where the dirty air can really hurt your lap, even if the car in front of you yields position.
It's hard to let the car through as well. The whole Sector 1, it's almost impossible. Then there's basically Sector 2 and the end of the lap where it is possible.
Indeed, so it's going to be difficult, and Kivu could be in trouble.
Quite a similar flow to Jeddah, actually.
He looks like he's been severely limited at turn 1 here. So it'll be interesting to see the sector time here, and he's going to come across, it looks like, Zhao Lei actually. So hopefully he can meet him at a part of the track that is advantageous to an overtake.
And we're hearing that there is more grade 2 rain coming in about 2 to 3 minutes, meaning the end of the session will be under a heavier rainfall. Basically, it is now or never for all the drivers to set their best time, because that is not going to be possible if it rains harder than this.
Indeed, but it'll be interesting because if you look at the times at the end of the elimination zone, so we're looking at 14, 15, 16, they are around 4 to 4.5 seconds off the overall pace. So you would think that if you can find a window, even without DRS and even in slightly worse track conditions, if you can string together a good lap, it might actually be enough to get you through here. Kortekivu he could be in trouble here. I mean, obviously those on the cusp are 6 seconds off the pace, so I would expect him to go into the bracket here, but he may be under pressure from those about to start a lap, because this will be it for him. And he only goes P13, so I would be interested if that is enough for Q2 currently. It
looks like it could be. Both Mercedes are certainly going to try another lap, but now the conditions are getting worse, so...
They are, and look at the traffic in Sector 1. Anyone opening a lap here is in serious trouble.
Yes, and it is a cocktail of cars on a flying lap, cars on an in lap, cars on an out lap. It is absolute mayhem there.
It is, and there's more rain on the circuit than we've seen for the whole session, so This will be a challenge of who's the bravest to push the limits in these conditions. I would be looking at both Mercedes, obviously, but also Alfonso Cashinho, who has been brilliant in the back end of the season, but especially in the sprint, where he had real pace, and currently 6.3 seconds off the pace. So a lot still to
Podium in the
extract
sprint
from
race,
that.
indeed.
And it looks like his first sector here, if he is on a flying lap, has been quite severely compromised. So he could be in serious trouble here. I don't know if we can get it on board.
Fact will be safe, I believe, for this lap. Verharen's looking pretty good with 26.4 first sector.
And 2 seconds away from Philip Verharen, so Alfonso in real trouble here. I think this will be it for him, unfortunately.
He probably encountered some traffic. In the meantime, we've switched to an aerial view of Verharen's car, and he's following Cashinho actually very close, and will be getting some slipstream, but I guess he got also dirty air on the way. That will net him a 39.1, and the currently last.
Look at the traffic.
Q2.
This has ruined Verharen. This has ruined Weissenen's lap.
Definitely, Weissenen was not able to improve. This could be the chance for Michael Zwart and for Wesley van der Steen to actually try to improve. 39.0 certainly is a reachable time, even in these conditions.
Come across some serious traffic. Let's see if we can get on board here, because he is going to really struggle through Sector 1. He gets past the first salvo correctly, but there's still traffic ahead, and this could hurt. Painful Sector 1 here. He doesn't lose too much time, so it's a yellow Sector 1, but he now has...
It's a 26.5. We've seen worse. We've seen cars in the top 10 with that sector time, so...
Look at the gaggle ahead. He could be in trouble here.
Uh-oh. Indeed, we're seeing...
So will they yield?
Queue of cars ahead of him. So far, everyone's letting him through without any trouble.
The double Red Bull train. Let's see if we can get an onboard here. F1 TV directing is going AWOL.
And we can see that the grip level's getting worse and worse quite quickly.
Oh, this lap has been ruined here. The lap has been compromised.
Oh, they almost collided right there at the exit of turn, I believe, 15.
He has to back out of it to let Philip Verharen go into the lane. This could be...
And last sector's time is not fast enough. He will be half a second short, and Van der Steen actually had a little bit more free space ahead of him, and he's able to go through to Q2.
At the expense
Traffic was absolutely insane.
So Kivu will not advance into Q2 here. This is a critical moment in the championship for him. I said earlier that I suspected that lap might not have been enough for him, and it wasn't ultimately. That early spin has really cost him here. He's come out at a non-opportune time, and he wasn't able to capitalize. So our championship leader is already gone, and it is Wesley van der Steen, who has really struggled this season so far, but he did just enough to make it through. So this is Jack Teff's time.
The pressures got to him on his on his first lap where he spun. It was his best opportunity to set a good time, and that mistake will cost him a lot of spots on the grid.
So some big names in Q1 that have gone out. We've got Kivu, Michael Zwart, Weissenen as well, and even the second Red Bull has been caught out, and Alfonso Cashinho. So, 5 names that you would almost put on a lock to make it through to Q2 each weekend have all departed here. So the conditions are catching out even the very best in the field. I hear that Michael Zwart is livid on the radio. He's upset at the team and upset at the car, and I don't blame him. A difficult session where his teammate only just scraped through, but it's been a difficult second half of the season for the Dutchman. He's gone from a championship contender to an outside chance, and his luck doesn't seem to be changing here. So, an interesting session.
And a quick point on the eliminated drivers in Q1. Kevu misses his, I believe, second consecutive Q2, as he started from the 20th position in Singapore. Worth noting that A2 Väisänen is missing only his third Q3 of the season, which means that in 15 of the 18 first races, he took part to 17 actually. He missed Spain, and he made it 15 times to Q3. So that's the end of a streak for the Finn. The struggles continue for Alpine, but they made it to Q2. In these conditions, well, looking forward to see what's gonna happen in Q2 and Q3. And we are back on track for the start of Q2. Still some kinds of drizzle or light rain on the track right now, but forecasts are expecting the return of I would not say sun, but of brighter conditions in about 5 minutes. The rain is expected to stop with about 10 minutes to go in the session.
Indeed. So, interestingly, Kodakiwi's early exit means that the qualifying head-to-head between the two Racing Bull teammates is now 6-4 to Jason Roy. So the rookie has made an incredible impact upon joining the team. So, definitely a statistic to watch. Interestingly as well, this means that previously, before this qualifying session, it was a tie between Joshua Nathaniel and Michael Zwart between the most Q2 sessions made through this season. They both had 18 apiece, so every single Q2. But with Michael Zwart's exit, that means that Nathaniel is now the only one with a 100% success rate progression into Q2.
Indeed, it is the very first time that Zwart has failed to make it into Q2. He even has a staggering Q3 rate.
Only A2 Väisänen has more Q3 appearances, who is also out. So big players eliminated early here.
In fact, every time that Väisänen didn't make it to Q3, he was out in Q1. So he has a 100% conversion from Q2 to Q3, which is insane.
An interesting day. So it could be a session full of surprises here, as we've got some cars already opening a lap. Interesting decision to go early, seeing that it looks like from the forecast that the track is set to dry up shortly. So we could be seeing some teams trying to put in an insurance lap early on, and then trying to set a quicker lap time towards the end of the session, and just getting their eye in early.
Indeed, there's enough times. There's enough time for teams to run 2 flying laps confidently. I would have expected them to wait for at least 2 or 3 minutes to do so.
So So one of the advantages of these mixed conditions is that the wear on the inters comparatively to usual tires is incredibly low. So the prospect of doing a double push on the same set of tires is quite a straightforward approach compared to usual sessions. And we look like we've got most of the grid filing out at once, so they've all determined that it's time to go. Spacing will be critical here. There could be some compromised laps if you're behind a slower car here. So currently Zhao Lei on a banker lap here. He's setting purple sectors all round. No one else is competing with those times. He looks almost 7/10 ahead of some others on a lap at the moment.
Shaolei, who has been the one with the most pole positions, with 4 already.
Yeah, and he won the pole position award last year as well. So real pedigree in the qualifying sessions, but he struggled to make it convert into race wins this year, or even podium positions. To be honest, he struggled with reliability and also just consistency.
Indeed, Shaolei is only 9th in the championship, with 3 podiums, including a win in Hungary. So still a pretty good season.
Indeed, and it looks like they've got Aaron Eigen in the slipstream of Jack Teff here. So an interesting decision from Williams to roll them out of the pit lane in this order. The question is, will it be more detrimental or as an advantage with the high-speed cornering here? But we will see. The track is drying out though, according to the reports that we're seeing. It is coming down in surface water, so we could see the times for those running slightly later to be an incremental improvement on those who have already gone.
We're seeing the sun back. That's a pretty big change compared to earlier on.
We are indeed.
There's a lot of wind still, but
I would ask the question. We've got 9 minutes remaining here, and it looks like from the forecast that we can see up in the commentary booth that there's not rain expected for the rest of the session. So we could see the grid go onto the soft compound here potentially.
indeed, it's looking like cars will switch to slicks pretty soon, and
I think so. Lucas Wright with a purple first sector.
Maybe teams will even abort their flying lap attempt on the inters, just a bit for slicks as soon as possible.
Potentially, I would say if you're already halfway through a lap, the security of just having a time on the board is maybe worthwhile, but we'll see what happens here. Liam Dela Cruz setting a purple middle sector here, but it's tight throughout the whole grid, so the conditions are definitely getting better out there. And this will put a lot of pressure on those who have already run. So both McLarens, Mitch Maradona, who's had a good run of finishes, and Ozzy van der Steen, as well as Nick Baer, goes only 6/1000ths of a second off the pole time.
And Dela Cruz with the best time at the moment, 37.385. Lucas right behind. This is very reminiscent of the sprint race. Robin Geisner, well, we have to speak about Sauber's resurgence lately. They have been improving steadily since the middle of the season, and they are now able from time to time to contend for podiums, like Geisner's 2nd place in Singapore.
They have, and it was an equally impressive performance in Monza. They unfortunately lacked the race pace, perhaps to influence when Robin Geisner was running P2 after the safety car restart. But they have definitely had a major shift towards the front of the field after a hard start to this season. The rumors continue to circulate around if this team will be bought out by German giants Audi at the end of the season. It would be interesting to see a a factory lineup next year, and there would be motivation as well, I would say, to keep a German national driver as an Audi factory driver as well. So lots to think about for next season. But yeah, the developmental resurgence this season has been very impressive, especially from such a small team. And within 2/10 of BMW Cruise is very respectable lap time. So impressive. But unfortunately, Sardinia continues to struggle this weekend. I'm not sure what the pace differential has been between the two teammates, but Robin Kaisner has been the clear lead driver this weekend, and honestly for much of this season. So you'll be under pressure here next season, but still 6 minutes and a dry track now to compete with here.
So in the meantime, we've switched to dry conditions as the FIA race control call was done about a minute ago, and pretty much all cars are heading back to the pit lane and have headed back to the pit lane for probably a small reconfiguration and switch to soft tires. It will be a 5-minute session where the cards will be all dealt again. Probably a single flying lap for everyone. I guess we agree on that.
We've got some cars heading out. Riley Swanson, the first to venture out on the soft tire. It's been an interesting season for the Australian. Some bursts of pace, but I would say a season of inconsistency from the young driver, especially a hard comparison to Alfonso Cascino, who's been an excellent driver this season and really probably the lead contender for Rookie of the Season, despite him having a few races the season before. This is his first full season, and he's been super impressive, especially in the race where it's 14-3 in Alfonso's favor. So dominating performance. But Riley Swanson's been still impressive. I think for a rookie with no prior experience and coming against arguably one of the best young talents on the grid, he's definitely held his own. He just needs to minimize some of the incidents in the race, and that's something that he's acknowledged himself. So
we also have to mention that Swanson has had quite a lot of unlucky events this season. The crash in Suzuka, then the missed race, then it took him a bit of time to get to find his confidence back, and then he got caught in more incidents throughout the seasons than almost everyone else. So could it be partly his fault, partly bad luck? It is arguable. What's sure is that since the beginning of the season, the Haas team has been supporting him.
For sure, and it looks like we've got the majority of the grid coming out now, so could be dangerous for Riley Swanson here. Whether he can clear the majority of the field in the end of Sector 1 and the long straight in Sector 2 will be critical. It looks like there's enough space on the deltas at the moment, but we'll keep an eye out. And the track is drying as we speak, so going early I think will be a real disadvantage, to be honest. I think if you can go as late as possible here, you will have an enormous yield. We're still seeing a little bit of service wear on the track, but it's being cleared by everyone.
And the grip level is still not ideal, of course, as it is a pretty much green track. But we are seeing, I mean, visually there's no standing water on the track anymore, so maybe Swanson picked the right timing, because you can see in the horizon, you can see some rain clouds forming up again, and it looks like it might rain a little bit towards the very end of the session, even past the checkered flag. So
For sure.
those who are coming out of the pit lane the latest might have to deal with that in their flying lap.
It looks like Joshua Nathaniel could hit the back of the train here if he's not careful. He's on a good lap here, but he's coming right onto the back of this pack. He might be okay, but it could be problematic actually for those in the train, because some of these cars are very, very close together after having to yield for the faster cars behind. I think this could really hurt some of the guys in the pack. I didn't quite see who exactly was in those cars, as Joshua Nathaniel goes provisional fastest on track with a just 1/10 between him and Riley Swanson. You would think that might be enough for Q3, but we'll wait and see what everyone can do on a track that is absolutely dry now. And Jason Roy sets a purple first sector that is 0.5 seconds quicker than Joshua Nathaniel. So the track.
Jason Roy is flying at the moment, and Lucas Wright also in a pretty good lap so far. Now Sector 2 is going to decide it for all of these contenders.
Can we get an on board for Jason Roy? So he's in some clear air here as the sun starts to set. Some lovely visuals here, but he's in
the visuals, but also the visibility is a lot different compared to early on.
As Mitchy Maradona goes provisional fastest, and by a huge margin as well. That is an incredible lap.
By more than 3/10. Jaulet right behind. I believe Geisner and Nathaniel will be safe, or maybe I've spoken too soon. Aiken with a good time, Teff as well. Sardinia, that
what has
could
happened
be
to Jason Roy's middle
insufficient.
sector here?
In fact,
He's 6 seconds off the pace in that middle sector. So
what happened for Jason Roy?
This could be it. And Liam Dela Cruz also is affected in the middle sector. So several laps here that have been
Likewise for Lucas Wright.
He can't improve.
And so that means that Van der Steen likely will be the last one to get into Q3. Both McLarens are safe, both Williams are safe, both Saubers are safe.
That is the session done. So disappointing from Lucas Wright, who had an incredible last sector and also a very strong first sector, but yeah, 6 seconds off the pace in the middle sector along with Jason Roy. So both cars massively hurt by traffic, and even Liam Dela Cruz is a victim as well here. On a weekend where he needed a Q3 appearance to claw back some margin on Kortekivu, but he cannot progress into Q3 here. So some big names out again, and it's going to be a fascinating race, because if you were going to put a bet on a top 3 before this race, I would say the majority of the people that you were going to bet on are not going to make Q3 today.
For sure, the bookmakers are probably caught by surprise by this both this Q1 and Q2. Who would have bet that Maradona would have the best time of the first 2 sessions?
Yeah, and we have to remember there's a lot of grid penalties this weekend.
Yes, Dela Cruz, Wright, and Roy will have grid penalties, meaning they will start 3 spots or 5 spots further back, depending on the penalty. That is not displayed here exactly.
Also, Chalet is set to take grid penalties, so he'll be eager to try and set as best a time in Q3 to minimize the damage that he is going to experience in this race. But a fascinating session, and both Saubers, we were just talking about the progression in that team as the season has progressed, and both cars convincingly through to Q3 here on merit. So a wonderful performance, and also worth mentioning Wesley van der Steen. We've touched that it's been a difficult start to his career at Mercedes, but he's held his nerve, and by 4/100ths of a second from Riley Swanson. He's progressed into Q3, so confident signs from the youngster here, and I think that may actually be only his 4th appearance in Q3 this season. So welcome back to Q3. We're back, and I've heard reports around the circuit that we are dry at the moment from the end of Q2, but that is set to change. So I would expect to see a lot of action from the teams early on here. No one out so far, but rain expected in the next 4 minutes. So
the track has dried up pretty quickly in just a 10-minute break. But we are expecting rain in less than 5 minutes now, and as you're seeing on your screens, all cars are getting prepared to move out of the pit lane. Well, if they all come out of the pit lane almost at the same time, there's probably not even going to be any traffic influence, so we're going to have some pure skill expression in this Q3. All cars heading out from the start, and I believe we are going to see a smooth Q3 with clean laps, at least clean of traffic.
I believe so, and Williams may have pulled the strategy here for Jack Teff. We think there's going to be rain the next 3 to 4 minutes. An outlap here is about 2 minutes, so you would expect rain at the end of the lap for everyone on circuit, but Jack Teff is leading the queue here. So the championship contender in P2 at the moment in the standings, you would argue that right now he seems to be in the best position should the rain come when expected.
I believe the best position is this of Maradona. He definitely will have some slipstream in this straight in 2 minutes time. He's close enough to get that, and he's also far enough to not really suffer the dirty air. So I believe he's in prime position. Of course, I don't know what's the McLaren right behind. If it's the one of Zhao Lei, I believe it's the one of Zhao Lei. He's in good position as well. He's very, very good strategically in quali. Every time when he had to take the slipstream, he did so, and he found the right car to follow for that. Every time when it's better to get out early, he had the right inspiration with his engineer, and coming out in third, I believe, is a very good idea in these conditions.
Sure, you don't want to be the pioneer sometimes, but the circuit has gotten incredibly dark in the last few minutes. It's now a race against time, not only against the stopwatch, but also against the weather.
And the visibility is getting worse as well.
For sure, it's incredibly dark here all of a sudden, but now is when it matters. Now is when the critical. This is definitely a critical moment in the championship, and Jack Teff knows it. Zhao Lei 1/10 up on Jack Teff in the first sector, but Sardinia with an incredible first sector here. So they're all throwing everything they have at this, because I don't think there's going to be another lap here where it's dry. So this is it. This is the critical point.
And the brightness. Are we in Austin or are we in Interlagos? It is. I mean, the cameras are making it brighter for you than it really is for the drivers. And this camera is probably closer to what it looks like in reality.
So Zhao Lei with a purple second sector here. It was a little bit off from Jack Teff, who he's putting in a good lap. He is in incredible time here. He must be in critical track position, but he's almost 5/10 up on everyone else.
And we're seeing raindrops on his camera, on his onboard camera.
The rain is here, so this is where it comes into play. Can Jack Teff leverage this advantage? Sorry, it'll only be a
Maradona with a purple S3 takes the first place, but Zhao Lei with a mighty S3 takes the provisional pole. Sardinia will take the provisional pole for 16th milliseconds. Who can steal this position? I believe Sanfact is the one in the better position. He's within a 10th behind Sardinia, but it's raining harder and harder now. Does he have enough grip in Sector 3 to take the pole? No, he will be third on the grid. And this will mark the unofficial end of Q3, as it is now raining and it will be till the end of the session. We have our grid locked for tomorrow with the Portuguese driver from Sauber, Duarte Sardinia, scoring his second pole of his season, of his career as well, ahead of Zhao with another front row for him. Sam Fact with one of his best quali performances of his career as well. Maradona in fourth, I believe it's his best quali too. It ties his quali result from Monza. Jack Teff in P5. Well, both McLaren will be starting in the top 6, so that's an opportunity for them to score a lot of points in the Constructors' Championship.
It is worth noting that Zhao Lei has that grid penalty for a powertrain change, so he will actually start from a maximum of P6 tomorrow. Oh, sorry, P7 with a 5-place grid drop. So it'll be Sam Fact on the front row alongside Sardinia, and both McLaren side by side most likely. An interesting session from Robin Keisner. We talked earlier about how he's had the measure of his teammate for much of the season, but he's over 9/10 away when it mattered. So a difficult outing for him today in a car that was good enough for pole. But all the plaudits need to be on Sardinia for that lap, an incredible lap when it mattered. It wasn't even due to a strong toe. He made it count when it mattered. Incredible.
We've spoken about Sauber's improvements lately, and this ball is certainly showing up to the world that they are now legitimate contenders for podiums week in, week out. With P1 and P9 on the grid, that's solid.
It is indeed. I would say that maybe one of the most disappointing results outside of Robin Keisner would be Aaron Eigen, to be P8 in a session that perhaps wasn't stacked with the usual suspects will be disappointing for him. Jack Teff also 6/10 away from P1, so Williams perhaps lacking the pace once again in outright qualifying speed this weekend, but they're well placed, especially with Jack Teff, to make some inroads on the championship here if he can keep a clean race tomorrow. At the moment, there's no rain forecasted for tomorrow, so no chaotic variables. As we see Jack Teff going for another lap. This is ambitious to say the least. But yeah, I think no rain forecasted for the race, so starting positions will matter, and should the race continue in green flag conditions, this could be a significant advantage for Jack Teff. You would think that with the relative pace of Sam Fact and Michi Maradona for much this season, that Teff would have the measure over them over a race distance, but both have been impressive this weekend. We've seen great pace, especially from the Alpine rookie, who has really made it count this weekend with a great performance in the sprint as well, and some breakout performances this year in general. He was super impressive in Monza qualifying, had a difficult race, but the raw pace is definitely there for him.
We're seeing some drivers, well, all drivers actually trying to drive another lap. It could be interesting for the ones that are further back, especially Eigen and Keisner, who are nearly a second behind the pole pace. If the track is not too wet, maybe they have a chance to improve their position.
It does look like it's getting worse. I would be very surprised if anyone goes faster, except maybe Robin Keisner, who is 9/10 away from his teammate. But even still, we're approaching the kind of conditions where DRS gets disabled. So perhaps just another opportunity to get in some setup, trialing for the race tomorrow here for teams. But I would expect the order to remain as it is.
I'm not expecting, indeed, any lap time improvement. Maybe Keisner can improve a tiny bit, or Eigen, but that's gonna be a tall task.
I think so indeed. So, yeah, an interesting prospect for the upcoming race. I think a lot of potential storylines, a lot to prove for everyone up at the front of the field and also everyone at the back. The point swing for Jack Teff would be 10 points should he finish in the position that he's qualified today. And that would put him within 7 points of Kodakivu, but we can't discount the Racing Bulls man. He's been so efficient at making up places through the field and charging from the back. And we've seen him capitalize that into podiums and wins this season, which is incredible. So we can't count them out at all, especially with the super powerful DRS zones on this track. But he will be at risk with the potential DRS trains that can form here. If we get a pack that no one is able to escape from, it can become really difficult to make headway. So definitely.
Watch out! We're seeing Eigen and Geisner with 25.5 sectors. What if they manage to improve their time in these conditions? I would be mightily surprised. But
it would be very impressive.
Jack Teff is certainly not improving at the moment.
I'm not seeing any green on the timing board, so I think that prospect might be rather slim, but let's see what happens here.
Depends on where Eigen and Geisner lost time in the first attempt. It looks like it is all yellow now. Unless they save a lot of time in Sector 3, this won't be possible.
Indeed, and an interesting decision to use another set of soft tires here for all the teams. This will compromise their strategy options tomorrow on a track that we know loves to use tires, and also on a track that creates safety cars. So
we may also argue that these softs won't be used a lot tomorrow.
For sure, I think the situations where I could see them being viable is a late safety car where everyone's forced to make a decision. We've seen big incidents here before with high-speed braking zones, so it'll be an interesting one for sure. But the story of today is definitely the Salva man. An incredible lap here to take pole by barely 2/200ths of a second. Could be an interesting race start tomorrow as well, with the grip levels and the rubber on the track at basically starting at 0 again after the rain today. So we could see a tentative first few laps depending on what the conditions are like tomorrow.
Are you implying that we might see some lap 1 drama yet again?
I am. We know that turn 1 here invites some interesting maneuvers at times, and we know we've got some drivers on the grid that are not afraid to commit to a move that perhaps puts the other driver at jeopardy. So it could be an
Ladies and gentlemen, I am not the one saying that. I'm not the one cursing if it were to happen tomorrow.
I think we're going to see some incidents tomorrow. We've got drivers out of position, and we've got drivers that need a good result and a points result to stay in the championship battle. So I think it's going to be cutthroat.
Pressure is at an all-time high, indeed.
For sure. I think if you're someone like Liam De La Cruz especially, there's nothing to lose. You know, you need to make that deficit back, and you're running out of time to do it. So I think it's all to play for, and especially with some of those drivers so close together. You've got Etu Väisänen, Liam De La Cruz, Kodakivu, all in close proximity, so there could be some hard racing tomorrow.
And there will be a lot to be talked about during the grid presentation come tomorrow, with especially starting with the back markers, who are not the ones that we usually see back there. So the Q3 results: Sardinia secures the pole. Jaolet, well, secures a first row that will be then dismissed because of his penalty. So Samfact will start on the front row tomorrow. On the second row, we will see Maradona, and probably Jarlet in P5. So Jack would be P4. Josh Nathaniel and Wesley van der Steen on the sorry, Jarlet and Josh Nathaniel on the third row, Wesley van der Steen and Aaron Hagen on the fourth, and Keisner will start in P9, followed further back by
I think it's Riley
seeing the rest of the rankings by Riley Swanson. Then De La Cruz would have started not that far back, but he has a grid penalty like Lucas Wright, which means that very likely Kevo and Zwart will start from one position higher. Actually, Kevo will start from 2 positions higher, at least.
Depends on how many powertrain components have been changed on those cars. We haven't gotten confirmation from the FIA yet on the exacts on the grid penalties, so we could see even more grid drops. So it's
we'll find out tomorrow, and teams can still make decisions until tomorrow, of course.
For sure, it's not unrealistic that we could see Kota Kivu starting from as high as P14, and you would think that it's true. You would think that for some drivers, especially Liam De La Cruz, where they've already had a compromise qualifying, you would take the grid penalty to install some fresh components in that car for the end of the season. You know, everyone needs the competitive edge that they can get, and it may be worth. You know, we've already seen them fall out before Q3. Why not take the hit while it's here and capitalize for the races ahead? But we will see what lines up on the grid tomorrow ultimately.
That's indeed a classic strategy. Starting from as far back as they are, the chances to score points is already low, so why not capitalizing on the package for the remainder of the season?
Especially the track like this, where you've got so much straight line performance that is impactful on your overall delta. So a fresh power unit could pay huge dividends for carving through the field tomorrow. So we will see what happens, but definitely worth tuning in to see how this race unfolds, because it's far from resolved, that's for sure.
All right, I think this is the right time to wrap up today's broadcast. It's been a very interesting Saturday, and this surprising grid will certainly be shaked up yet again tomorrow. It will be on, I think, 53 laps of distance. So a lot of time to have comebacks, downfalls, and a lot of drama yet to come. Thank you all very much for following us, as always, and we will be back tomorrow for the main race broadcast. Have a nice evening, and thank you, Just Nate, for your presence today. It's a great pleasure to have you here.
Of course, it's a pleasure to be in the box when I get the chance. Thank you everyone for tuning in today, and I look forward to seeing how this race unfolds tomorrow. But for now, farewell and goodbye.